So that last example was, on example 4, it was 2 equations with 2 unknowns. Now let's see how Gauss-Jordan elimination would work with 3 equations with 3 unknowns. I think we definitely need to do some reorganizing of our equations, okay? First of all, we've got 2x minus 12z equals that other stuff. So when we take our x's and y's and z's on one side, this first equation, subtract x from both sides, is just going to be x. And then let me go minus 3y to take it to the other side. And then bring down your minus 12z. And what's left is a negative 17. Okay? Now, in the next equation, it's just a matter of moving just a little bit around. I'm going to move the 3y and the 18z to the left-hand side and move the 19 to the right-hand side. So that second equation is equal to 2x minus 3y minus 18z equals, add 19, so positive 19. Same stuff, right? Okay, and then on the next one, it's okay like it is. Maybe I don't love a negative 3 there. I don't have to stand for that. I don't have to have a negative 3 there. I can say that is equivalent to positive 3x, but then I got to go minus 7y minus 36z equals positive 41. All right, good stuff. So my augmented matrix that I'm going to set up to work with. First row, 1, negative 3, negative 12, augmented with 17. Second row, 2, negative 3, negative 18, 19. Okay. And then 3, negative 7, negative 36, 41. All right. Now, I'm going to take that augmented matrix, and I'm just eyeballing it and double checking it real quick to make sure that I have, the correct signs on all of those, and I copied all the numbers correctly. Yeah, good stuff. Ultimately, I'm going to do some elementary row operations so I can use Gauss-Jordan elimination. That means I'm going to have 1s down the main diagonal, and I'm going to have 0s everywhere else. That is ultimately how we're going to want to write that, okay? But as I do that, that's going to change those numbers here too, right? Okay, so this is going to take a little, I don't want to move that. I just wanted to move the yellow stuff off and erase it. And I kind of super fail on that. Okay. So not only did I mess that up, let me move that row. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, don't touch anything. Okay, I already have my lead 1 right here. My pivot number, I'm good to go on that. Loving it. Way to go. Now it's time to try to get a 0 here as well as here. Let's attack the second row first. But ultimately, that's what we're headed toward. Okay? Now, to get my 0, my lead 0 here in the second row, the plan is to take a negative 2 times row 1, add that to row 2 to get a new row 2. Good times? Okay. So, negative 2 times row 1. Let me try not to mess that up. Negative 2 times row 1 would give me negative 2, positive 6, positive 24, augmented with a negative 34. Okay. I'm going to add that to row 2. Row 2 had entries 2. See why I do that? 2, negative 3, negative 18, 19. When I add that together, my new row 2 that's going to go in is going to have a negative 2 plus 2 is 0. That's the whole reason I did that. 6 and a negative 3 is 3. 24 and a negative 18 is 6. Negative 34 and 19 is a negative 15, I think. Yeah, it is. Okay, that's going to be my new row 2. Let's write it down. I'm going to do some scrolling here. Okay, so I'm going to scoot back over here where I kind of want to be in the first place. My row 1 didn't change. Okay, it's 1, negative 3, negative 12 augmented with 17. My new row 2 I found right here is going to have a 0, good times. Okay, 3, 6, negative 15. Okay, now my next thing, this will kind of save us a little bit of recopying these every time. My next thing is I also want to get a 0 right here. Okay, now that could be accomplished if from this matrix right here, okay, I took, and let me just go ahead and just leave row 3 out, okay, instead of having to write all that. What I'm going to do is from this matrix, I'm going to do negative 3 now times row 1 added to the row 3 to get a new row 3 that will have that 0 that I want. Okay? All right, I want a 0 right there. That's why I'm doing it. Okay? So up above, negative 3 times row 1, negative 3 times row 1 is going to be a negative 3, positive 9, positive 36 augmented with negative 3 times 17 is a negative 51. Okay? Now, row 3 is a 3, negative 7, negative 36, 41. Okay? Now, I'm going to add those together to get that 0. All right. 2. That also happens to be 0. And then negative 10. That's my new row 3. My new row 3 is a 0, 2, 0, negative 10. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of things. What I want to do here is get a leading 1. All right? And I can do that with either the second or third row really easily. Let me go ahead and just say my next thing that I'm going to do, okay, is I'm going to take 1/3 of row 2 to get my new row 2. And let me write that down below. Okay, so I'll just take a minute and recopy that with a new row 2. That is 1/3 of row 2. Yeah, that just means I'm going to divide everything through by 3, essentially. True? Okay, so my row 1 is still 1, negative 3, negative 12 augmented with 17. Okay, now my new row 2 is 0. Okay, I always forget to write this, but I'm also dividing that by 3. But 0 divided by 3 is still just 0. Okay. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. Now I've got another leading 1. Good times. Let's copy over that third row. 0, 2, 0, negative 10. Okay? My next goal is I want this to be a 0. Okay? So I'm going to be able to accomplish that by taking negative 2 multiplied by row 2. Add it to the row 3 to get my new row 3. That's going to have a 0 down there where I want it to be. Okay? Now, here we go. Negative 2 times row 2. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. We're going to augment that with negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. There's negative 2 times row 2. I'm going to add that to row 3, which is 0, 2, 0, negative 10. To get a new row 3, my new row 3 is 0 plus 0, which is 0. Negative 2 plus 2, which is 0. Remember, that's why I was doing that. Negative 4 plus 0 is negative 4. And 10 plus a negative 10 is 0. Okay? Now, my matrix with my new row 3, let me move this out of the way. With my new row 3, okay, rows 1 and 2 do not change. Okay, row 2 is still 0, 1, 2, negative 5. Once you got a 1 on the main diagonal, you don't want to mess it up. But my new row 3 is 0, 0, negative 4, 0. Okay? So what I want now is all 1s on my lead diagonal. I want this to be a 1. And to get that to be a 1, I can accomplish that task by dividing everything through by negative 4, which is the same thing as multiplying negative 1/4 times row 3 to get a new row 3. Like I said, y'all, that just means we're going to be dividing everything through by negative 4. So that gives us the 1. Okay? This is not all that exciting, but it needs to be done because we need that 1 down there. Okay? Row 1 is still 1, negative 3, negative 12, 17. Row 2 is still 0, 1, 2, negative 5. Now row 3 is 0, 0, 1, 0. All right, so what we've got here is row echelon form. We've got to do some work to get it into reduced row echelon form so we can use the Gauss-Jordan reduction to find our solutions. I'm going to go ahead and pause here and then we'll pick that up in the next video.